All right, hey everybody, and welcome back to another What's This Wednesday, and this Wednesday we have Jotun here for you all. Now, Jotun is a game that is heavily inspired by Norse mythology, and we're going to get into that into just a second, but I just wanted to touch on a few things, like the imagery that you're about to see, and the intro you're going to hear is all done, I believe, in... Oh, not Norse, but I think maybe Gaelic is the language, but it's definitely not in English. You have English subtitles, as you're going to start hearing now, but all of the language you'll hear is in English. And it kind of gives this game that full feel of you're definitely experiencing something of mythology, like a mythological story. So I'm just going to be quiet and let you listen to this just for a second.
Í vægðarlausu djúpi sjávarins tók hálf gegnsætt net ránar við mér. Ég var dregin dýpra og dýpra í átt að gyðju sjávarins.
So yeah, definitely not English, right? I mean, it's even on when they were saying deeper sounds the same, but it has like that sort of roll to the R, and it's not deeper, it's like deep-ra almost. So you're definitely going to be getting a game that is, for sure, going to be doing a lot that it can to hold its ties to Norse mythology. And for the first few levels that I played here for this video, it definitely seems to hold a lot close to at least some of the source material that I know. Now, I don't know a lot of the source material. Granted, it's not something I've researched, but the little bits that I do know to be true, like very little, those also seem to be true, right? They seem to hold up. But as you can see, you'll get these places where you can stand atop a high point and just be able to see the vastness of everything below you, points of interest that will glow, certain landmarks like that big stone in the back, and even the tree of, Yggdrasil, the connector of the 9 worlds, right? I'm saying right now. Right, and as you get to walk across the bridge, you get this whole nice sweeping landscape of the background art and the foreground art, and it's just a beautiful game. Jotun is just, yeah, man, I really enjoyed playing this on the show. It was just so beautiful because it's not super detailed. I mean, with the leaves and stuff, you can see there's only a couple leaves here on the bush, and they you don't get like all that level of detail, but it's just the line work that makes it so appealing to the eye. Like, what you're going to get into later on in this game. Like, even the rocks, they're not too detailed. They're just, a couple different shades here and there. Certainly not as detailed as something that we've seen in other animated games or other games that have sort of a cartoon aesthetic, but certainly beautiful in its own right. And it's kind of, I guess what I want to say is it's simple, or it's beautiful in its simplicity. So you can swing around your axe in a light attack or a charged attack. The charged attack helps you clear these routes. Obviously, I'm doing it on screen right now, but now we have our first sort of setup here that's telling you to pause to view the map so you can see your current layout. Now, I have no idea where we are on that map. We don't really have a figure, but this is also an area that's trying to teach you how the game works. Like, so these spores that you'll see go out in a cloud, and if you happen to get poisoned by them, what it wants to teach you is that these blue flowers will cure you of that poison. I don't think this happens... it happens right here. Yeah, because I try and smash the eggs, but it does nothing. And then, as you can see, cure to the poison, and now my health is reduced slightly. But I have no idea what level of Yggdrasil we're on yet, because I believe that will be revealed in a moment. But this pool of Memmer, it's pretty creepy how it's just this head sticking out of like this gnarled pool, and it wouldn't actually let me walk all the way around this side because there's like an invisible wall right there, but it looks like we can fit through it, so that was just a little silly to me. Couldn't walk through that. But the creepy thing about Memmer coming up right here is that when you step on these things, let's see if it'll happen. Oh yeah, here we go. It just takes a while there you go, his eye pops open, and it's like his eye isn't shaded like the rest of him, so it kind of pops out from his head, and it's kind of... Oh, Memmer, not Yimmer. Yimmer's something else, I think. But Memmer is, he has these pools all across the tree of Yggdrasil, and so you'll see him quite a bit. He's what refills your magic and your health when you find him. And this is where the first boss would be, but we only have the first of the spirits in the area connected to unlock the tomb. So obviously we've got to go venture forth to find them. These pods will actually, the flowers that spew out the little spores, or I should say, yeah, I guess they are spores, the pollen actually, I guess. So the flowers that spew out the pollen will actually prevent you from getting poisoned for a short time if you've already been poisoned. So you don't have to worry about constantly having that happen to you going through this little area, which is a nice little touch. But I also like how in this area where there's a lot of these spores, kind of mushroom plants that spew out the toxic, it's all dead and like just all dirt, and all the trees have like mushrooms and mold growing on them. It's a nice little touch just to have the environment change with something like that, rather than have just like, oh, these mushrooms spew out like necrotic poison. Yeah, it doesn't hurt the trees or plants or anything, because there have been games that are, I don't want to say lazy, but sort of forego that little bit of detail when you go into a poisonous area like that. Or they'll just have the whole area be, you know, oh, it's all dark or purple or something to signify that it's not a healthy area. And here we have one of the many, many statues of the gods and goddesses that you can find. Which one was this one? Was this Freya? So I unlocked some magic. Oh no, this is Frigg. Okay. So she is the queen of Asgard. And it also tells you a little bit about each god or goddess that you find when you encounter them. And it doesn't tell you much about the power that you get from them. So you just have to kind of sort of experiment with that. Now, I think this one mentioned it was healing because it said the healing power. But that's fine. And we now have the weird root tentacles trying to come up and attack us as we do. And when you cut them in half, they kind of look like pickles. Oh, I don't think I'd get another vertical slice. But because of the green juice when you cut them, and that satisfying squish sound, you definitely get that pickle vibe from, at least I got the pickle vibe from them, which I thought was pretty funny. But they'll keep popping up, so you just have to make your way through. And here's our second spirit in this tutorial area. I just used the healing to see how much it would heal. And, of course, it's trapped. Everything's trapped. Everything in video games that is decent is trapped. You know, all the treasure, always trapped. You know, if you've been watching my Bloodborne playthrough, every time there's an item, you gotta check your surroundings. It's trapped. We also have a dodge roll that I've been doing periodically to help boost my speed. And that just helps you quickly get out of the way of certain attacks. And that'll come into play when you get to the bosses. This game seems to be not like an action adventure, but more of just an adventure. It seems more tuned to have the focus of combat be towards the bosses. For the two... Did I play 2 or 3 levels? I think for the 2 levels that I played here for this What's This Wednesday, yeah, the majority of combat falls to these bosses. Oh no, I played three areas. This beginning tutorial area, and then 2 areas afterwards. So you do get a boss health meter, which is shown down in the bottom right, so you get to see how much progress you're doing. And if you fail, you know, obviously, that you failed just before the boss was supposed to die. And this enemy, the more you damage it, the larger he grows. I don't know if he has a name. I might have missed it while I was talking and not reading on the screen. But he will get to be quite big, and I don't think I ever let him hit me. But if he does hit me, I think he's going to do a lot of damage when he's big. But as you can see right now, the perspective for the boss versus the character, it gets a little pulled back as he grows, because it wants to keep him in the screen as well. And I feel that sort of with this... I don't want to say it's isometric 2D. I forget the exact camera angle, but it's funny when you actually cut him down and he crumbles. So I thought that was hilarious when the little crumbles when you hit him for the last time. That's great. But this aspect of the camera angle and the boss fights for him and one other later on, it didn't fit quite well with me. Just because you can easily lose distance at this camera angle. I mean, I'm sure it's something you'll get used to the more you play the game. And this is a rune, and the whole premise of this game is that you need to find these runes. But yeah, so I just want to finish talking about that camera angle, and then I'll go into the story about the runes and why they're important. So, the camera angle, I feel, as though it will get better the more you play this game, just because it's hard to judge distance without the shadows being there. I feel like shadows with a certain light perspective would have helped a lot, rather than just being kind of like this amorphous blob underneath you. I mean, I guess it's not really, because you can see there's a little bit of definition underneath the axe. But, so if you want to face the mighty Jotun and prove yourself to the gods, or sorry, you need to face the Jotun and prove yourself to the gods, and that means you're going to need to be collecting these runes. So in like this tutorial area where we first were, we needed this rune to unlock the way to Gimengarp, I think the name was. It'll come up here again in a second. But this is kind of this like nebulous void area that connects you to other realms, to where you can go fight other Jotun. And now those Jotun can vary from, the few that I fought were that big skeleton, a giant plant boss, and an ice giant, a frost giant. So those are the kinds of things I'll be getting into. I mean, I'll keep it here. I'll show you the areas here so you can see for yourself. But all in all, the game doesn't seem too complex. The more you play through, the more you get. And here's another pool of Memmer. Once again, it it takes a little while. It takes a little while for me to get through here. But I actually think this is a boss coming up right here. I don't remember if I had to go into an area or if it just put me into a boss. Oh yes, so this is the boss of the first tutorial area. It's giving you like a tutorial boss fight. You smack that eye flower, and erupting from the earth right now is a giant ugly plant lady. So she's definitely going to be causing some harm. And this is, see, right here, right now is where you get all of the good, like, shadows of where the characters are. I mean, the camera's still brought back a little bit, and it's a little hard to see the character's distance and where you can actually affect stuff. I mean, I was jammed between her arm and her leg there, or her arm and her root. So, I mean, I wasn't going to be hitting anything but her. But with this camera angle and the distance, it's really hard to tell where my attacks are going to be landing. And that's one thing that I feel definitely goes against the game for all of its style and flair. And since the boss fights are the only ones you can get, it's a lot of experimenting needed with each boss. And I definitely did not see this coming. I didn't realize I had actually got poisoned, because I thought once the cloud went away, right, once the cloud went away, I thought I would no longer be poisoned. But you actually have to cleanse the poison of yourself. So when you die, you have failed to impress the gods, and then it just sends you back, right back to the last checkpoint, and you go from there. Usually it's right in front of the last boss. You also get all your magic back, so you don't have to worry about doing that. I only have the 2 magic right now. And later on, we'll see that you can actually start upgrading your magics and your health meter by finding a few things. I just jumped ahead slightly here because there was a few failed boss attempts, and I felt they would have been a little stale just to keep into the video. Plus, it would help cut down this video's length. But as you start damaging the flower inside of the giant monster's stomach there, it starts sprouting all the little pickles. I call them pickles, but they are most definitely roots, the thorned roots. And so what you want to keep doing here is the same thing you've been doing the whole time, is keep slapping her, getting some big hits, and trying to open up her stomach to reveal the flower to do more damage, because that's obviously her weak point. I didn't find if there was a stronger way to get her to open up, or a quicker way, just that there is a way. So once you defeat her, I mean, I'm still sitting here, you know, beating on her with, like, no health left. And I actually thought that I had died, because I thought I got blasted back, and that was the end of my health because I wasn't paying attention, because I had used all of my healing. But once you defeat one of these giant Jotun, you will get a rune. And the whole object, like I was saying earlier, is to get the runes in order to unlock the gates. And there are certain... actually, no, the whole point is to get the runes to unlock the gates to the Jotun, because the Jotun are the ones you need to defeat in order to impress the gods to allow you to go to Valhalla. So we find out that our character's name is Thora, who is named after Thor, the god of thunder, right? Hopefully everybody knows who Thor is. He's had a few good movies. If you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, go see Thor Ragnarok. So I decided that the first area I was going to go to after picking this place was going to be the Frostlands.
Móður minnar, hugrekki föður minns og sögurnar af goðunum veittu mér innblástur til að verða hinn fullkomni bardagamaður.
And I just wanted to be quiet there for a second because I wanted to hear the voiceover again. But she's telling her tale of how she was being crafted to be honed to be a warrior. But then since she died on a boat, because if you, at the beginning cinematic there that we had, the introduction, it showed that she was, she died by drowning. And that is not a warrior's death. So a warrior needs a warrior's death in order to be granted access to Valhalla. But in this case, she's already died. So in order to get into Valhalla, she needs to impress the gods so she can have a rest. So this is where we actually go in and we take her adventure. She is technically dead. And I guess she could have a second death, I suppose. But Elevagar rivers from the beginning of the world, I have no idea how to say that. But I'll call it the 9 rivers, because that's what it says here. Now, I chose this area because I love ice and snow. Obviously, if you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you know that I love me some ice levels. Love me some ice levels. So, the whole point of this game is to explore these levels, find the runes, and then go back and unlock the big doors to fight those big Jotun. But, while you're exploring these worlds, there are certain traps and or gimmicks to the levels that will prevent you from doing such things. So going up here provides us with the same aerial view that we had, and you can see there is Memmer's pool right there, and all these giant obelisks or stones that have all the ice going in the same direction, shielding what's behind them from it. So we saw as we were climbing up the steps that the wind was starting to pick up really badly. And right here, I believe, is where I first realized that if we stand in the wind too much, we'll start taking damage. So when the wind picks up too much, you start taking damage from all the ice and the snow hitting you. So you actually have to stand behind these rocks for cover. Luckily, there's Memmer here. But you can increase your health and your magical abilities by finding other statues of the gods and finding the golden apples from the trees. I forget the name of the tree. I forgot a lot about this. I do apologize for forgetting all of these things, but it will show up on screen, and I will fill you in once again they pop up. But I filmed this a couple weeks ago, and I haven't been able to do the recording again. But once you find the golden apples from the trees, they will actually increase your maximum health pool, so you're not stuck with what you have when you start the game. There is that slight aspect of being able to progress. Most of these exploration areas have one place you need to go to find the rune, and one place to find a tree, and a few others. I believe the map on the floor of the main area before we decided to come here to the 9 rivers, it will show you where secrets are. So if you missed a tree, it will show you on that big large floor map where the tree is. And if you've got all the items in that area, I believe it will be, there will be no glowing lights on it. But if there's a glowing light in that area, it means you've missed something. At least that's what I was able to discern through me playing this game for the hour or so that I did, the hour or two that I did to get the footage for the show. But this first area I picked was actually a poor choice to go for, because I felt like it was really slow going to gather footage for the show, because I kept having to stop and get behind these rocks to take cover, and it wasn't very exciting. I was actually wondering if I was maybe missing fighting enemies, like if there were enemies to fight, or if I had chosen more of a puzzle area to start with rather than a combat area. Because once again, these are, when I'm playing through these games for What's This is my first impression series. Like, I don't have anything but what I initially discover for the game. And as I play more on my own time, I discover more and, you know, maybe find a few things that I might have said in error or just didn't figure out when going through. So I was really curious as to where I could have possibly maybe forgotten something. But right here is where I find another goddess's statue who actually reminded me a lot of Rose Quartz from Steven Universe. So we found Freya, who, like, yeah, did remind me quite a bit of rose quartz. I think it was her hair and how it curled around and it just rested on her shoulders and her lips, I think. It was just kind of that similar structure to Steven's mom, Rose Quartz from Steven Universe, which I thought was really cool. And she bestows you this speed boost upgrade. So you now have this magic that you can cast twice that increases your speed greatly, which I find this is kind of a weird area to get that in, but also very necessary because it helps you retraverse all this slow area you were just in, so you get more, or at least you can explore more between each gust of wind than you could before because you have this big burst of speed. The magic doesn't recuperate on its own, though, so you really only have the 2 charges unless you go back to Memmer's Pond and refuel. Or I should say take a drink, until you take a drink at Memmer's Pond. And, well, I guess, yeah, refuel would be a good word, right? To refill your magic and your health. So you only have 2 charges, so you really need to make it count when you want to use those, especially during boss fights. Because, once again, you need to go back and refill. They don't refill over time, so once you use it, that's your use. And so, as you can see, these are really big figureheads. And so I figured I was on the right track. Because you don't place the big stuff like that unless there's something big coming up. Now, I thought maybe this was leading to a boss, because I wasn't sure how the game sort of built itself yet. But it was only leading to the rune, I believe. Yes, up here you can see this is where one of the river runes is. A straight line, perfect for, you know, that river. Whenever you want to draw on a map, just here's a river, there's a nice line. I mean, nowadays we use straight lines for roads because we know rivers bend and don't actually go straight. But, you know, back in the day. So he always gives us the option of continue exploring the area or return to Ginnungagap. Ginnungagap, I think it's called, because it's got that G in there before gap. So yeah, Ginnungagap. I mean, I'm probably butchering that, but I am not Norse. I don't speak the Gaelic tongue, or whatever their ancient tongue might be called. Didn't look it up, but I definitely do not speak that, so I will just be saying it as English as I possibly can. I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit here in the video just to where I find the first golden apple, because I just did a lot of wandering around here in the Nine Rivers. Ithun, which is the Tree of Life, I believe, or one of the Trees of Life, it's part of Yggdrasil. You'll find the golden apples, and they are the restorers of youth. And they will extend your life meter. So as up in the top left there, you can see that my life is now just a little bit larger, as we have like a little bit of a decal now at the edge of our life meter. And so there's not much left for me to do in this bit. I wander around a little trying to find my bearings to see if I can find any other extras. So I'm just going to cut ahead a little bit in the video to where I actually go and visit Jormungandr's Lake in Niflheim. So Niflheim is the realm of the frost giants and such. It's like the ice planet. But Jormungandr, son of Loki and slayer of Thor, that was a piece of lore that I had forgotten. And I think Jormungandr might be either a giant wolf or a giant snake. I forget, but there are giant wolf paws here in the snow, and I think there's a giant snake in Jormungandr Lake. I don't remember. I don't remember if I actually encounter it while on camera or not, but that's a really cool thing that happens when exploring this lake. And so there are levels that are pretty straightforward, like the previous Nine Rivers, where you just walk along the paths to find your secrets, or I actually had to finagle my way through those rocks to find this golden apple. So we actually have a lot of places to find these golden apples, and they're decently well hidden, and this game does reward you for exploring its levels. So it's got that nice aspect of reward for not just going directly where the path takes you, right? Because I could have went up to the big, you know, survey the landscape area back in the Nine Rivers, and then just went, oh, the biggest areas are over there, I should go over there, right? So now I start hugging the edge of the lake because I want to find out exactly what's around the edge of the map to see if I can find other secrets. But I love the little school of fish beneath the ice that you can see through the shadows. That's just a great little thing. And then this sense of dread that they capture right here as the screen shakes and your controller rumbles and you see this giant serpentine-like figure underneath you. And you start to think, oh no, I'm out in the open. I'm on the ice. Where do I go? And this shadow starts appearing from underneath you. And bam, on screen pops this giant snake. Well, eel, possibly. but he kind of looked snakish with the forked tongue. Aquatic snake. There are aquatic snakes. And then once again, you see it happen again, and you're like, oh geez, oh geez, oh geez. And this is when I made for the snow, because I figured the paw tracks are on the snow, so perhaps maybe he can't see me while I'm on the snow, because he can't see up through the ice, up through the snow. And then I started seeing this volcanic area here, and I thought, oh, is there another secret here? Because this seems weird. This seems different. Like, there's now volcanoes in this ice area. Is that normal for Niflheim? I mean, going by the detail that this game keeps for Norse mythology, I would say that, yeah, there might be volcanoes in Niflheim. I can't say for sure, but I encourage you to look everything up. Research everything if you'd like. If you're more interested in learning more about Norse mythology, please go ahead and do that. Mythological cultures and stories are stuff that's been lost for a long time, and I used to have a huge interest in them, but I kind of fell out. And now you can see this guy here has got a big hammer, and he is obviously Thor. So we now have Thor, the power of Thor's hammer. It's a magical power-up, so we can only use it a few times, but we now have the strength of Mjolnir. So hail Thor, good job. And his statue looks really good too. He's got a nice big beard, nice coiffed hair. All the statues look really good in this game. I really like the art style. And do we see the snake once more? The snake that possibly might be Jormungandr, as I'm trying to find the rune. No more snake. But I was actually really scared while playing through this, because you're in this large open area of ice, and I'm just like, oh no, this thing can see me, and I can't do anything about it. It can just come up from under me whenever I want. I do encounter it one more time coming up here in a minute, but I would just like to bring attention to this amazing background, this landscape that they paint in this game. It's so beautiful, and how there's like the foreground, then there's the middle ground, then there's the background, because this one big rock in the foreground, or not even in the foreground, but in like the first background, it sort of has its own plane, while the next two behind it have their own separate planes. It's just fantastic how the perspective when you get these nice grand shots is formed in this game. They definitely wanted to go for something super visually appealing, and that's one of the main reasons to play this game, is the visual appeal. It's not super detailed in any way, like Cuphead, say, where that is kind of simple, but also the details of the old cartoons. You know, there's a lot of detail in Cuphead, but for this kind of cartoony aspect, to have it simple, its simplicity is where its beauty lies its strongest, for me, anyway. I mean, some people might see this and not think it looks very good. I see this and I think it looks beautiful. The animations are fluid, everything's great. And now we've found both runes of Issa. The winter Jotun lies dormant under the crust of the earth, so we will go fight the frost giant in a second, but here it comes. Another attack by the giant eel. Now, I actually think right here we actually have to go fight it, so I was getting ready to turn around and go, but no health bar showed up, and no combat music started. So I was beginning to wonder, like, when is he going to come up again? And I was actually trying to bait him, because I saw the snow, and, oh, actually, no, I do go over it. Okay, I was thinking, I see the snow and I don't go to it because I want to bait him. But I think here is where I start thinking, I think I'm done here. I should probably just head for the exit. Because I figured out that there was no health bar showing up, like I said just a few seconds ago, so he couldn't possibly be a boss or something I needed to defeat, because usually things that you have to defeat have health bars, or at least something that big should have a health bar, and would stick around to try and fight me. Instead, it kind of just pops up from under us, and I guess if it gets you, you die, and if you don't, it kind of does a little look around and then dives back under. So I think it's just a stage hazard, just like a level hazard. I actually thought that was the way out, but it's not. I'm a little lost here on the way out, which is funny. But since this is just more aimless wandering around, I'm going to jump ahead in the video again to where we put both runes of Issa in the stones and the door opens up. So hopefully, if I do the editing right, you should be seeing this now as the doors just open, and we're about to head in to fight our first unlocked Jotun, because we did fight the giant plant monster, right? And she was our first boss, but that was kind of like given to us by the game. I've skipped ahead and I found where the frost giant erupts from underneath the crust of the ice. Well, I guess is there crust of the ice? No, but the surface of the ice, and he gets up, and now he's big and looming, and he kind of falls prey to that same perspective issue. He falls prey to that same perspective issue that I was saying earlier. But luckily, he's pretty big and slow at the first bit, so you don't really have to worry about it, right? He does have this awesome, you can't really see it because it's white on white, but the lines when he's breathing all that ice out are really good. And his face when he gets hit to get stunned, I loved it, it's great. Just the little details in the artistic direction. Oh, right, and now he's going to start doing that weird little runny thing that he does. But, oh, I was going to say, can you see it yet? No, it's still snow on snow. The snow will eventually start clearing from the arena. Here we go. So the winds have carried away all the snow on the ice, and now it's just nothing but ice. He actually rammed me there for quite a bit of health, so, you know, I healed up a bit. But this is when everything starts getting hairy, because the entire arena is now all done in ice. And that breath attack, actually, if you get caught in that, you're pretty much done. It slows you down because you're on the ice, and it does quite a bit of damage per second if you get caught in his frost yell. I'm not getting caught in this because, like I said, I had 3 or 4 run-ins with this big guy, and I just kind of wanted to edit those out for the show, just for fluidity, because I wanted to refocus this show more on showing off stuff about the games to you guys rather than just doing commentary over me playing it. I forgot to move out from under him, but there we go, smack him with Thor's hammer. That's the ability that we got. And we actually get charged up with Thor's hammer's energy for a little while, so even though we've used it once, we've been able to hit him 2 times with it, because the magic will persist a little bit after you activate it, which is kind of cool, because I thought it was a one and done the first 2 times I used it, but turns out no. And here we go, another charge of Thor's hammer to finally crush the Conqueror of the Cold, the giant frost giant. I mean, I guess he's a regular-sized frost giant, not the giant frost giant. But yeah, also in this... Oh, and I didn't realize that I had to hit him again once he fell down. I didn't realize the fight wasn't over yet. And do I go in to try and hit him again? I think I go and try and hit him again to see if he'll shatter. Because I'm still pretty sure that we're not done the fight yet, so I think we have to smash him once more in the toe. There you go, smash him once more in the toe, and he starts shattering like a big... He starts crumbling into a bunch of ice cubes, just like Sub-Zero's fatalities from Mortal Kombat. And then we have impressed the gods, and now we get the Rune of Issa, I believe. And that was all. The loading... Oh yeah, by the way, the loading screens in this game are really quick. At least on my end. I mean, if you have a lower-end PC, they might not be so... Right? They might not be so good, but for me, they were pretty quick. And every time you defeat a Jotun, I believe you get a little bit more backstory. So, the first time you kill one, she tells you how she's a warrior, and then the second one, she says she's a younger sister, and she wants to make her father proud. With every month she spent at sea, fighting in Odin's name, right? Trying to earn her place as a warrior in life and in death. That's the whole point, right? Earn your warrior's death, earn your warrior's afterlife. So there's this nice, rich story as well with all of this cultural background that you want to see. And here I am actually taking a peek at the map. See, because I figured I didn't have 3 pools of Memmer. So maybe there's more to that area that I haven't explored, because there's stuff that's not glowing anymore, which is stuff I think I found, and stuff that is glowing, which is stuff I didn't think I found. Or at least it might be stuff that you find is glowing and stuff that you didn't find isn't. I had yet to figure that out. But the maps tell you that there's stuff of interest. So I thought that was really cool, that the overarching maps tell you that there's stuff you need to do. And so the pause menu will also tell you which zones you've also completed, if you couldn't tell by the lights on the floor here, if that was an issue for you. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Jotun. So I will see you all on another Random Wednesday here on What's This? Take care, everybody.